Hi friends, welcome to our home. I hope you're doing well today. I've got some changes that we did, mostly to the living room, but I was making changes out here too, so I hope you find them interesting. We have, of course, found some vintage items that we thought would be very fun to add to our decor. I can't resist some of these cool things that we're finding, and I have to do a lot of rearranging sometimes to make room for them. I haven't shown these great big swans for quite a while. Maybe it's been a year. They are our largest pair. There is a label on the back of the one on the left. It just says D Arts, hand painted of Florida. So I don't know who that is or what that is, but stand up right there. Yeah, I really went nuts when I saw these at the antique show, a great big antique show that happens typically twice a year at the state fairgrounds here in Minnesota. And it is in a video. You can watch that video if you want. I'll link it above. It was probably a couple years now that pair was found there. So that was very exciting, and I don't know when we got the L.E. Smith bittersweet vase. I was going to have a different one here. It's very tall and skinny, but I changed my mind and I decided to put the chunkier one that we have. So the other 3 pieces are upstairs in the stairwell on the table up there. I decided not to put them all out here, but just one, and a couple little pieces of amberina glass. It looks kind of bare without a little something more out here, I thought. Typically, you know, I have candles, candlesticks and candles, but this time of year I don't tend to put out candles so much. So let's go back over here to a crazy arrangement that I've been working really, really hard on, all because of this clock. It's a funny story about the clock. At least a week ago, we went to Antique Mall of Rogers in Rogers, Minnesota, which is just 5 miles up the highway from us. One of our favorite places that has a little something for everyone. And typically there's lots of very cool mid-century items there that we fall for, and this was one of them that I thought was just so cool. But it's a very heavy clock. It is an 8-day wind-up clock. And I just yesterday evening polished all the brass balls on that and tried to work a little bit on the face that you can see does open. It does work. And there are 3 more brass items up there to polish. Now, what's so funny is I was walking around with Norm and I saw the clock hanging in this booth, and I thought, oh, that is really cool, and it works, Norm. That is so nice. I like it. Well, he wanted to take it down and take it up front. He's so accommodating. And I said, no, just wait. We just got here. So he said, okay. and I decided to go walking around some more, of course, and I met a very nice gal named Nicole. We really had a fun time talking about loving mid-century decor. I wanted to show Nicole the clock. Well, I look around the corner and it's not there. I thought, oh, nuts. I can't believe somebody wanted that clock. So I finally get up closer to the front and I said, Norm, did you bring that clock up here? It's not there anymore. And he just was laughing at me and he said, well, you snooze, you lose. I questioned the women. I said, I can't believe someone just bought that clock. One of the ladies, she said, yeah, we just sold it. I thought, oh, what a bummer. So anyways, the next morning, I walk over to the living room where we had a card table set up for me packing up stuff, unpacking stuff like I always do. And I moved some of my bubble wrap over towards the bin, and there was the clock laying there on the table. So I hollered, Norman, what did you do? You stinker. So he was laughing, of course, laughing at me, saying he snuck it up front when I was upstairs, and Barb wrapped it up for him real quick, and he took it out to the car. So there's another time that he's totally surprised me. But anyways, over here today, I decided for the rest of spring, and of course just this video, to take out my horsies again. I've given some of them to Norm that were more Western. These ponies here that are shaped the same, I've found them in different colors, like yellow and the brown and the white and cream. That one way down in the end is actually a cream color. But they had saddles on them, fancy gold saddles. So I let Norm have them for the shadow box up in his Western themed room. This is the newest one that you have not seen yet, and I can't remember where I found it, but I thought it was pretty funny. Very chunky, which is kind of cute. I mean, look at this one's really chunky too. I love it when it's got the gold trim on it, but not all of them that I find do have that. And I don't know if I did show this one to you yet or not. It's actually a cute little donkey. So he's the only imposter here. But I think it makes a cute collection, and that's probably the next newer one. And I think I may have shown that to you already. I don't know. I had this pink one down here for, at least 2 years now, maybe. This guy is really funny. Or you could call it an old mare. But these two I've had for several years. And the little one in the middle is quite unique, tiny little artsy, stylized ceramic horse. So I do love the Trojan style, and I do love all that design on them, but I like the other fancy ones too. And that's a salt and pepper set. I forget if it's Japan, probably, yeah. So that's colorful. I debated, of course, to put my little vases out here again because I keep finding some new fun ones. Forgive the fact that I have rugs in here. We need them so we can keep our carpet cleaner. I just washed them again last night, so they're fresh. This is something that I decided to do out here. I've always felt that this wall just would look so much neater to see something when you walk in that's, fresh, like greenery. And I got the brainstorm to try this out here to cover up that vent. The vent is not centered under the shadow box, but I tried to center the plant stand under the shadow box. But it is very narrow, really, really a narrow piece. So it's not in our way because the shadow box obviously sticks out some too. So I don't think it's anything that we're going to bump. So far, it's been there for about a month, and Norm hasn't had any issues with it. That's typically my problem with rearranging things around here, is I will find out Norm has an issue with it. It's in his way. He'll bump it, it's just... Men are different. They don't want to have to be fussing where they walk, to be careful of every little thing their wives put out, right? Yes, I have a lot of clocks, but I can't help it. I love them. And my white goose, I moved over here. It was behind me over the closet doors. And if I just move over and show you above the closet there, that sparkly metal sun mirror was up here. But what's new, did you notice, are these fish plaques. They are vintage. They're by Sexton. They were in my brother's, Steve's, bathroom years ago. He told me to start taking things from his bathroom. He had many, many bird and fish type plaques all over in his bathroom, like a lot of people do. And they were all vintage. I didn't keep many of them, but I loved these. I just think they're absolutely gorgeous. And yes, I did have Norm spray paint them. They were, they looked to me like somebody had painted them. Kind of turquoisey blue, I don't know. But it wasn't solid. It was like very sporadic, or it was wearing off. I don't recall. I should have taken a picture of them first. But these beauties have been sitting in a drawer upstairs for, it could be going on 3 years now. I can't tell you how happy I am to finally have found somewhere to put them. Now, when I do an arrangement like this, I just love it. But I don't know about you, but I'm always thinking, what will I do when it's Christmas? Do you ever think that? Obviously, I could hang a wreath where that clock is. You could hang another wreath up there if you really wanted to change things to look Christmassy. I know I don't have to, but it is very tempting. So we'll see what I end up doing when that time comes. In the meantime, I'm very happy with this, and I hope you like it. Let me back up here a little bit. I'm going to step down and not fall off this step here. See what you think. From a distance, obviously, I've stuck with white and black and gold. And, of course, the face on the clock is brown, but that's okay. I'm happy with it. I hope you like it. So let's look at a huge bunch of changes in the living room. At least I think so. I don't know if you right away can tell Any changes? Probably not so much, since we have so much in here. I got to thinking, we got rid of the red couch, and I know that that's not real important when it comes to my decision to never bring turquoise into the living room. I can't tell you how much both Norm and I love the very retro cool color combination of turquoise and orange and cream, or plus or minus black. So I got to thinking the other day, in the past month, we don't have that red couch anymore. I could put all the turquoise things that I've been slowly collecting, more so for the front entrance. That was what my plan was when I got them. And even some things like a double dove TV lamp over there far on the right, shelving. That was originally for the turquoise bedroom when I had more feminine things in there. So that's why I got that. But, I've liked using turquoise things at the top of the stairs because I had a turquoise radio up there and in the front entrance. So, yes, I had quite a few things. I'm sorry that it's dark. Let's start with just down here. I have shown you this crazy bird. I don't know if that could be hobbyist, but I doubt it. It is the iridescent glaze. So you will see some slight rainbow colors if you looked at it closely. It's probably just something that was done in Taiwan. I really debated on getting it. I believe it was sitting very high in Hutchinson, Minnesota at their Main Street Antique Mall. And I debated, I saw it there, I went there many times, I saw it, I didn't get it. I thought it's so plain, but I finally broke down and got it, and I'm really happy that I did. I've never seen it since. It's just really crazy, kind of wild with such a wide wingspan. It's very tall. But I'm glad I got it. 80s maybe, do you think? But anyways, I've had this little pot for many years. It's one of my favorite. I love the splatter glaze, you know that. I am so thrilled that we have new subscribers. Thank you so much for subscribing to our channel. We hope we entertain you for a long time. We really appreciate hearing from you if you feel like it. It's always fun, and love it when you say, "Hi there, I'm a new subby." That's so nice. So I welcome you along with Norm and want to show you some of the things that I have shown in the past to our regular long time subscribers. We thank you so much for staying with us. So I'm sorry that things get a little dark here and there with our window causing that. These I have shown before. I'm so afraid of breaking these very, very crazy splatter glazed, herons, I suppose I would call them. The one big one in the back, I have shown that before too. That is Blue Mountain. Found it at Bibles for Missions. Yeah, who changed their name now to Legacy Thrift. So they are more your blue-green. They're not the turquoise that I've been talking about. These are a little on the bluish turquoise side too, those bottles and glass pieces over there, but they still look nice with the orange. And that little planter I found in Duluth a year ago. That also is kind of a turquoisey blue mixed with a royal blue splatter glaze. So that's just a little bit different shades over here. And I changed our planter. I'm going to be shading myself here from the dining area patio door. That's better. That works out fine. Just put some cacti in there. I love the cacti, but of course they are faux plants. I am not good, it seems, at growing anything anymore. So this black phone stand has been at the side of the desk. It has been, probably in the last video, over on the left side of the new love seat, but I put it over here this time, took away the little tiny gold one and swapped it by the side of the couch over there because it's smaller. This one is bigger than the gold one that was there. These are some of the bottles that I've been collecting that you probably have not really seen much of yet. This may be the newest one. I'm guessing this is a Chinese man. He does have a mustache. I can try my light, see if that helps a little bit. His hands are down here, folded, so you can see his fancy robe. These bottles I have found so inexpensive. That's why I broke down and got them. I just figured they would go up in value. I don't know why the blue ones have been so inexpensive. I'm no expert and I didn't bother looking them up, but that is a pretty little hobnail dish, probably Fenton. Any of these that I do decide to buy, it's not because I'm crazy for them. It's because I'm finding such a great deal and I think I can use them in our decor. Now this was a very unusual find at Goodwill. It is one of these plastic or lucite big flowers that just lay on a table. It's not, you could hang it up probably if you wanted to, but I found it at our local Goodwill for $3.99 just this winter. And it is the same color. And that I found for like $3.99 at Bibles for Missions a year ago. And I didn't really know much about it. It has a very beautiful iridescent finish to it. And I found out, one of our viewers told me it's probably stretch glass. I didn't even know there was such a thing as stretch glass. I'm not an expert. I should read up on some of these things. That we just found the stretch vase at Family Pathways way over in St. Croix Falls, Wisconsin, one of our favorite thrift stores. And we do have a video showing when we purchased that. A really big deal for us, really great deal, I should say. And we had a discount that day. So it was kind of a steal. And this is a very pretty turquoise. It's looking more blue in the video, but I just found this not too long ago. Really inexpensive. So those are the only bottle type or vase type things that I've collected so far in turquoise. I may not have shown this pretty swan vase or planter much at all yet. It is not white, and I think I got a steal on that. It was like $6 or some crazy price. I don't know. It was so reasonable at a very fun store that we like going to in Menominee, Wisconsin. probably 2 years ago. What a deal. I could not believe my eyes. I love the large leaf platters that I've been looking for to put under the glass here on the coffee table. So I know they are all very warm colors. The large darker orange one in the front here is the newest one that I found, and I was with Norm a couple weekends ago. We went to downtown Hopkins, not very far from us, and went to the Pink Elephant, which is a very, very wonderful retro shop too that we love going to. And I saw this adorable tidbit tray. It's California Pottery, and it's in really minty condition. I didn't see any problems with it at all. It's very different, of course, from the warm platters that are under the glass, but I pictured it on the coffee table here anyways. I wanted it to tie in all of the turquoise items out here in the living room. So Norm thought it turned out very nice when he was sitting in here the next morning, and he said that really works. That really ties everything in nicely. The little pillow here on the couch that is of the yo-yo design, my mother actually had made an entire quilt like that. I don't know, it might have been in the 70s that she was working on that, late 70s, early 80s. But somebody may have made that pillow out of an old quilt too. So I have no idea of the age of it, but it was something that I originally was thinking of for an Easter video in here. I found it last summer in New Ulm, Minnesota, at a very nice shop there that we just visited again a week ago. So we've gone a whole year without getting back to that very nice shop. It's about an hour and 40-minute drive for us, but it was very fun. So I happened to think of that, was up in the closet, that it had some blue and turquoise on it, and I thought, oh boy, that's kind of cool how that worked out. So I was very happy about that. The gold little pillow and that wild one, along with two others we just had fun searching for in Wild Collective Vintage, because I saw their Instagram post there in one of the vendors' booths, and it was full of these crazy crocheted round pillows, and there was some square ones in there too. Not the gold one, that wasn't from that booth. That was found somewhere else in the store. They have a different color scheme on the back side, which you've probably seen if you've picked up any of those pillows or seen them on the internet, because people are making these. They're just beautiful, and I just think they're so fun. I'm really glad that Norm thinks they're fun too. He likes patterns and colors just as much as I do. So let's go look at the living room fireplace wall. I was sitting in the chair behind me, in Norm's chair, and I got to looking at the placement of the Grundig 1960s stereo over there, and the TV on that end table was over there. They were in opposite positions, of course. Do you recall that? It always bothered me that we had the dark stereo over here, and the black chair was hiding some of it, because it was much wider than that TV. And I had a rack over here that was smaller, which looks like that one over there. See, those two items fit over there, and they did fit over here too. But what you all don't realize is that our fireplace is not centered, which has always driven us crazy, and it drove Norm crazy when he, many years ago, put up the standards for the shelving. It is wider on this side. There's more room over here than there is over there. So we still lucked out when I told Norm I wanted to swap the sides of furniture, completely swap them. We still had enough room. Of course, we measured everything before we decided to start emptying everything, and that was a lot of work, taking off all the books, and Norm had to lift up the stereo edges and put these gliders underneath them. I picked up that extremely heavy television the second time to put it back up there. He took it down and put it on the floor the first time. But we lucked out. And the reason to me, when I was sitting over here in the chair, was that was a dark piece of furniture, the stereo, and it was covered more by that barrel chair. So it was kind of dark over there, and the low rack next to it was so low that when I would go over there to show you what was on that corner, I was showing you down beneath that chair. It was more the height of the second shelf, right? So I thought, this is going to show up nicely as a light piece of furniture with the TV over here, and have a high book rack or bookshelf over here that will come up above that chair. I was really excited at the possibility that we could change this around. So Norm said, I see what you're saying. And now that we have a much smaller love seat over here instead of a great big huge red couch, when we first brought home that stereo, we weren't going to cram it in there where you couldn't open the door. You know, you have to pull down the door to get in there. So I knew that there's way more room over here now. It's open, and it's a light couch that would complement that dark mahogany over here. So that's where I'm storing all my red books that I take out for Christmas. But you see, this skinny little telephone shelf fits fine over here. And my brother had this turquoise ring pottery that I did not know was vintage when I brought it home. And I wasn't that into turquoise as such, but I thought, well, it looks vintage. It's kind of cool. It's a very big, tall vase. I did just find out that it is Hall ring pottery. So that was exciting. It confirmed. I know, I finally looked it up on Google, I guess. It finally confirmed to me that it was a vintage vase. I just didn't know for sure. But I had had these reeds for a long time, and they're actually a gold color. I bought them, at one of the craft stores quite a few years back. This beautiful vase is just gorgeous. It was given to us by our niece. So that was pretty thrilling to think about. Oh my goodness, I have this turquoise vase that our niece Robin gave us. So wasn't that sweet. It's really beautiful piece of art. I found this at, I think, maybe it was like Hutchinson, but I can't remember for sure. But it is definitely a hobbyist piece. It is so cool. It is made to hang off a shelf. One of the petals will hang off and it sits on a flatter base and back, but I don't have it doing that right now. I like it just sitting where it is. Now, I did show this at least a year ago or more. It was another piece that I probably bought for the turquoise bedroom upstairs. And it's probably an 80s piece. There's no identification, but it is quite iridescent. And I'm so happy that I did get it. It sure looks nice in here. And this is a new piece that I found probably at a thrift store. And I did do the gold painting on it to get it a little more glitzy. I've always thought it was fun, even though it was new. You've seen this before in past videos over the years. This was one, if not the first, TV lamp that I ever talked Norm into. And again, it was for the turquoise bedroom, because I had turquoise and black in there. And that tall bird, orange one, is the same on the other side. Both these birds, I repeated it on the other side, as well as these that are a pair that I found at Up Your Alley Vintage more than a year ago. That was really, to me, they were just beautiful. And I got them for the top of the stairs on the bookcase. That's what I thought I would be using them for, but I was pretty happy to use them for bookends here, and I didn't bother putting any plant in them. Not necessary. But let me tell you about, okay, again, the orange bird is the Maurice of California pair I discovered in the basement of St. Paul antique store called Missouri Mouse. Very, very fun store. But this black pair I found in the winter months, and I do not believe you've seen it. It's fun to see them together, of course. But you know how I like balance, so I split them up. So I was pretty excited when I found them at Wild Collective Vintage. They're completely different looking than any of my other birds. It's always fun, or very exciting to me, when I find a pair of birds, which is not real often, and they're different. They're not a repeat of anything that I have. So I think of myself as very fortunate. They were marked $25 each, or $20 each if you bought the pair. So I still think I was fortunate. They are quite tall, very striking, and I just love them. This is our newest purchase, just found last week. New Ulm, Minnesota. I found some nice things. They have reasonable prices. So this looks like definitely a California vase. Was very surprised to find that. It is a little more of a green turquoise than what it's showing. And this one is more true color for what it's showing. I don't know what kind of pottery that is. Very unique though. I found that last year. And Norm bought this for me last year and I wasn't even with him. And I thought, oh great, where am I gonna put orange with turquoise on it? At the time, I honestly didn't know where I was going to use it. I thought it was really cool. And it could be new pottery. I just don't know anything about it. Up here are birds that I have shown you before. These are more turquoise than what they are showing. They're looking more blue, but they're not. I wish that I didn't have such a problem showing turquoise things. But you have seen the real tall, skinny ones. I think that off-white pair in the back was my very first pair of California birds, to tell you the truth. Seems to me they're the oldest that I can remember. And several years ago, I found the turquoise pair. And my lovely California swan I thought would look nice up there. So down here, these were from a really, really kind friend that I met through Instagram, and she helped me get the blue. Well, they're very turquoise. They're more even richer, like the greener turquoise, but now they're showing up more the color that you might think I wanted in here was more the bluer turquoise. But I don't mind all the different shades in turquoise that you find with these vintage things. It's perfectly okay, but they're probably all going to look different to you than what we see. Now, the exciting beyond words to me vase in the middle here we just found a week ago at a pretty good size antique mall that we may only get to once a year or less. It's called Annie's Attic, and I did find some lovely things there too. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I certainly know this was the major purchase. Norm did purchase a really sweet Easter bunny rabbit pair couple sitting in a old jalopy as such in plastic, colorful plastic by Rosbro. Very large, good size, I should say, Rosbro toy candy container, I assume. At that time, it's probably from the 50s, so that was his big purchase. But this was my big purchase. I hate to tell you what it was, but I truly believe that a California piece like this, I mean, this thing, these birds are huge. You can see really, really, really big birds that I am thrilled to have. But I didn't know how big this would be and how it would look if I decided to use it on the mantle. But it is just right, I'd say. And I only like just a little bit of something in a vase in here because it gets doubled by the mirror, obviously. But I saw this and my jaw just dropped. I don't know if Norm had passed by it and didn't notice it. I don't know how he couldn't have noticed it, but he zoomed in on guy stuff. So he just doesn't typically look for things like this like I do. And of course, orange just jumps out at both of us. Well, this was marked $55 and it's in mint condition. They discounted it 10% when we went to check out. We didn't know they were going to do that. They were discounting just about everything we purchased. Oh, I bought 2 adorable vintage tablecloths there that I will be showing you. Yeah, so I'm really thrilled. I mean, you can't get any more mod than that, right? That is so stylized. I just love it. So Norm thought, wow, that's pretty fun. He really liked it. So I did put together my orangey books and brought up a lot of and the gold ones, and brought up a lot of our black horse heads from the basement storage. So that's what's up there, and more pottery over here. Oh, I don't believe I've shown these to you. There's one on each side. That is a new purchase from Bell Tower Antiques in Spicer, Minnesota from a month ago. I was pretty shocked to find them. I have had one of these for many years in a pretty light green color, like the Celadon green, sorta. So these are an off-white, but they were calling them bookends, but I don't think they work very well for bookends unless you want to put them sideways, the side of his head against books. It just doesn't work to try to put the mane against books. You don't want to put his face against the books. So to me, they're just decorative statues. But I was pretty surprised to see them. Couldn't resist them. I just love that stylized look. Now, this is the newest vase that Norm did get for me when we went to Hudson, Wisconsin, right across the river from us, from Stillwater. It is gorgeous. It was in a very lovely antique mall that we filmed not too long ago. You saw it, called Nostalgia Antiques. Really wonderful. The one in the end is fairly new, and it was this winter. Yeah. And that one is from Wild Collective Vintage, from Luke and Chelsea from Trillium Vintage. They have a booth there at Wild Collective Vintage, so that was a purchase from them this past winter. I really like it, the black one. So there's the repeat of those birds, and this is a very sweet TV lamp that I did, like I say, purchase for the turquoise bedroom, and it is identical to the black one, so Norm thought that was pretty fun. We have, two white TV lamps, the horse, the rearing horse, and the big swan. They're both common. We've had them in here in the living room for many years, so I wanted to do something different. We also have a black rearing horse. And there's some more your bittersweet. Now this I haven't shown too often, maybe once. It is by Metlocks. Beautiful double swan vase. Some people call this a swan, but boy, I believe they actually made this and colored it for the flamingo, because if you look at the beak, to me that's a flamingo beak, but a lot of people call this a swan vase because it's white. But it's really neat. I purchased that many, many years ago when I first started falling in love with swans. I thought they were swans. So I actually thought of bringing this upstairs. I knew that it was fancier and I wanted it upstairs here on the left next to the TV when we had it all over there. But I measured it and I knew it wasn't going to fit. Little did I know I could have swapped everything around at that time, but that was probably when we still had the red couch. So everything worked out so nice. I'm storing all the green books that I'm not using right now. And I've had a lot of planters that were by McCoy that I will be showing you behind me on a new plant stand. So this is one of them. It is turquoise blue. It is not blue blue like it's looking. It's a very sweet little one. And I've had that for quite a while. There's two of them, but I had only found one. If I ever find another one, I would be very tempted to get it. So I had a pair. It is not a wall pocket. I have pink ones just like it, but they're wall pockets. This one is just a planter. Now this turquoise phone is much more of a greener turquoise. Again, it's showing up more on the blue side. But I thought it would be really cute to have it in here. It was at my brother's house, so we brought it from there. So I am really, really thrilled to have this much prettier book rack up here, vintage 60s, than the one that we had here that was much smaller. And the tray, the top was actually a tray design where things would not fall off. This is flat all the way across. But the other one, you were setting things down inside of it. So it was a lot smaller than this one and shorter. I just love this. I'm very, very happy. Well, I haven't shown you yet what I put on the shadow box. I decided to take two of the small retro, probably 60s, I don't know for sure, swans with a little Fenton stretch face in the middle. I did have it looking different prior to this design. I had two little stretch milk glass faces by Fenton and the orange one in the middle. I decided to change it to the birds because I do like the birds, but the little bases looked cute too. So I just picked out some of the turquoise and amberina pieces that we have. And I hope that, there we go. They're little individual salts, as many of you know. And that is a votive in the middle, and another different styled individual salt. Now I don't know what these are up here. They're much bigger, as you can see. I just don't know what they really use those for, but I did happen to find two of those over several years of looking. They're around. So that's the look on the shelving. I like it. Oh, totally forgot to tell you that I finally decided, and I finally talked Norm into moving out the couch. That was another project to put my very wild California Originals peacock up there. That plaque we found way up in North Dakota. Close to, it was close to Fargo. It is so cool to me, and I really have wanted it up here for, I bet you, a year and a half. I've been trying to talk Norm into it. He was very hesitant, but he finally broke down and said, okay, whatever. You just can't leave any wall bare, can you? He really does give me a hard time. So I'm very happy with it. I snuck this bird in. It is bisque finish, very flat, with the gold. I love it. My brother gave me that bird many years ago. I think he just brought it over. I didn't take it from his house. It was many years ago. He must have just decided he didn't have anywhere to put it. But so I snuck that in myself one day when Norm wasn't watching, or where he couldn't hear me pounding. He cringes when he hears me pounding. So I hope you like that. Yeah, I sure do. So this is a huge pot that I decided to get from Wild Collective Vintage. I think I was eyeing it there for quite a while. I did not get it right off. I guess I was probably getting other things and I just felt a little too guilty and wasn't real certain about it, where I would put it, but I'm thrilled that finally I decided to, and Norm said he approved. You know, he doesn't always approve of everything that I like. I ask his opinion, but it is very, very big. And now it's very, very heavy because I filled it full of black beans. I found this little adorable plant stand many years ago at a thrift store, and I couldn't believe that this pot actually fit perfect on it. I have switched around beans in these pots so many times you wouldn't believe it. I'm constantly emptying out pots of beans and changing them to white or black or the brown pinto beans that I started buying. It all depends upon what plant I'm going to put in it. To me, I want that to look like dirt. So I started buying the black beans, and they're more expensive than the white beans are. Do you recall I had that kooky pine, quite orangey, stained, big plant stand of my brother's? Because I never had a plant stand in here. So there were things I wanted to bring home because I just didn't want to let them go on the estate sale. I didn't know if I'd have a place for them or not, but I moved it around a few times and it ended up here for a few videos. You saw it and I loved it. But my heart has always been wanting this pagoda one, vintage pagoda one. A year ago at least, I'd say more than a year ago, I was pointing out when we were in Wells, Minnesota, out in the cornfields. We have a video of shopping there at least two times now that we drove down there. It's quite a drive, but a very big place, very fun place to shop. I was pointing out that there was one there in minty condition, as far as I could see, for $20. Oh my. I really, really wanted to buy it, but I told Norm I honestly don't have anywhere to put it. He would have gotten it, but we had the red couch, you know, there was no room. If I had it, I would have wanted it in the living room, but there was no place in the living room for it. So when we went to Wild Collective Vintage last, which was probably a couple, I'd say, 3 weeks ago, I knew this was there. I'd seen it many times that we visited. It was owned by Vintage Bulldog, Marcy. A lot of you may follow her on Instagram. She sells live from antique malls. Very successful gal. I believe they live in Northfield, south of us here. And so I've bumped into her at Wild Collective Vintage too. I didn't realize at first that she had a booth there, but she does, with wonderful items. Lots and lots of very fun, very kitsch things. lots of great holiday stuff. So this was hanging up on a wall with very fun things on it, and I wanted it so badly. I must tell you, it was rusty. Pretty tough condition. I washed it first, but it's been sitting here without anything on it for a while. I mean, I was just kind of playing around with pots, but I had to bring in all of these from out in the shed. They all needed a good scrubbing, and they are wonderful McCoy vintage planters with different designs in turquoise to some of them are a little bluer turquoise. And these are really big, and when you fill them up with beans, boy, are they heavy. They're very heavy to begin with. But I do love them and admired them. And, of course, my more California type pottery or hobbyist splatter planters, too, that I found over the years. Many, many years ago, I started collecting those. But these were going to be, I don't know where I originally thought I was going to have them, outside or inside. I just can't remember. But I really didn't have any more, and I wasn't sure what I was going to do. You know, I don't have 2 orange ones that are small any more than those. That's it. So I got the idea of taking 2 of my crazy birds. Now these, I don't know how much I've ever shown them, but they are more pheasant-like, probably, sitting on, you know, like, looks like more of a log-looking or something you'd find on the ground. I don't know. I don't think it's a tree look. But anyways, they're probably more pheasant type. But I figured the touch of black would help. But Norm finally, last week, it was warm enough. Finally, it wasn't windy and it wasn't cold, where he could take it outside. I went to him over to Menards and I picked out brass. Gold is yellow. Brass spray paint, metallic brass Rust-Oleum spray paint, is a little warmer. But didn't that turn out nice? It just is so much better than it was. I could not believe it when he brought it in. The under part of the wires were pretty rusty and crusty. So I'm thrilled, just absolutely thrilled. It's because I'm so crazy about pots. I obviously have to have something to put them on. So that's one of our big surprises. That and the changing of furniture, new crazy pillows, and our new color scheme of adding the turquoise in here. So I hope you've had a lovely spring so far and you've been healthy. We hope that you are blessed with the rest of your spring and stay well. Thank you so much for your very, very sweet, very fun comments. I can't thank you enough, and I am truly sorry that I can't answer every one of you. I wish I could, but I do have terrible hand problems. So I apologize. I am not good at writing everyone, and it's not because I don't care. I do. We care about each and every one of you. We love you very much for your kindness to us. So farewell till the next video from both Norm and I. Take care, you guys.